Hello, law students and legal practitioners. I am Sheppy, your legal shepherd in studying law principles and jurisprudence. Today, we will discuss the case of Marcelino Repulela et al. Versus Estate of Otillo Larawan and Juliana Bacu, GR number 219638, decided by the Supreme Court on December 7, 2016. Let's begin. Here are the legal doctrines of the case. An equitable mortgage exists when, regardless of the nomenclature used by the parties, the contract was actually intended to secure the payment of a debt rather than to transfer ownership. Under Article 1602 of the Civil Code, the presence of any one of the circumstances enumerated therein is sufficient to raise the presumption that a contract of absolute sale is in truth an equitable mortgage, and no concurrence of several circumstances is required. Courts are inclined to construe a contract purporting to be a sale as an equitable mortgage, as it involves a lesser transmission of rights and avoids unjust deprivation of property. The law looks beyond the form of the agreement and examines the true intention of the parties, considering the surrounding circumstances before, during, and after execution. Additionally, continued possession of the property by the supposed seller, payment of real property taxes by him, gross inadequacy of the price, and the vulnerability of the transferor due to poverty, ignorance, or illiteracy are strong badges of an equitable mortgage. Acts of registration and issuance of a new transfer certificate of title do not, by themselves, defeat the existence of an equitable mortgage. Actions to declare a contract an equitable mortgage and to quiet title do not prescribe when the mortgagor remains in possession of the property. To shed light on the issues to be resolved, here are the relevant facts of this case. Spouses Lorenzo and Magdalena Repuela owned lot number 3357 in Talisay City, Cebu, covered by TCT number 5154. Upon their death, ownership passed to their sons Marcelino and Cipriano Repuela. In July 1963, the Repuela brothers borrowed 200 pesos from spouses Otillo Larawan and Juliana Bacu to pay Marcelino's fare to Iligan City. To secure the loan, the Larawans required the brothers to surrender the owner's duplicate title and sign a document. Cipriano signed the instrument, while Marcelino, who was illiterate, merely affixed his thumb mark. No copy of the document was given to them. Despite the transaction, the Repuela brothers remained in continuous possession of the land, cultivated it, shared in its produce, and paid the real property taxes. Unknown to them, the Larawans caused the cancellation of TCT number 5154 and the issuance of a new title in their names as early as 1964. In 2002, the heirs discovered that the land had already been titled in the Larawans' names. The Repuela heirs filed an action for annulment of documents, quieting of title, redemption, damages, and attorney's fees, claiming that the transaction was only a mortgage. The RTC ruled in favor of the Repuelas, declaring the transaction an equitable mortgage. On appeal, the Court of Appeals reversed, holding that the transaction was an absolute sale. The heirs elevated the case to the Supreme Court. Here are the issues and ruling of the Supreme Court. Issue 1. Whether the transaction between the Repuela brothers and the Larawan spouses was an absolute sale or an equitable mortgage. The transaction was an equitable mortgage, not an absolute sale. Article 1602 of the Civil Code creates a presumption of equitable mortgage when any of the enumerated circumstances is present, such as continued possession by the vendor, inadequate consideration, or retention of ownership indicia. Courts are mandated to look at the real intention of the parties rather than the nomenclature of the document. The Repuela brothers remained in possession of the land, cultivated it, paid taxes, and shared in the harvests. The loan amount of 200 pesos was grossly inadequate for a sale of titled land. Marcelino's illiteracy and the absence of a copy of the contract further demonstrated lack of intent to sell. These circumstances sufficiently established the presumption of an equitable mortgage. Issue 2. Whether the issuance of a new transfer certificate of title in the Larawan spouses' names negated the equitable mortgage. No, registration did not defeat the equitable mortgage. Registration is not conclusive proof of ownership when the registered title is derived from a transaction that is legally flawed. Torrens title does not validate contracts that are, in substance, intended only as security for a loan. Although TCT number 5154 was cancelled and a new title issued to the Larawans, such registration was merely incidental and did not override the clear indicators that ownership was never intended to be transferred. Registration cannot be used as an instrument to defeat an equitable mortgage. Issue 3. whether the action to declare the existence of an equitable mortgage had already prescribed. No, the action had not prescribed. Actions to declare an equitable mortgage and to quiet title do not prescribe when the mortgagor remains in possession of the property. Possession tolls prescription and preserves the right to seek judicial relief. The Repulela brothers and their heirs continuously possessed the property from 1963 until the filing of the case. Hence, the lapse of time did not bar their action. Thank you for listening and happy learning. Please don't forget to subscribe to the Legal Shepherd PH YouTube channel and click the notification bell to stay updated on newly uploaded cases and jurisprudence. See you again for our next case discussions.